Now I would like to bring everyone back from the new continent to the old continent, to Europe, to Italy, and show you in 10 minutes the story of 26 years of life. So I'll have to squeeze it down quite a bit, and tell you about my experience and what's happening in these days in this formerly abandoned medieval village. That's what it looked like 26 years ago. It's a village that's located near the French border, near the city of Ventimiglia. And it had been abandoned for over 50 years. And so the general conditions, as you see, were those of a village that was collapsing, falling apart, with no roofs, no windows, no doors, just a lot of stones that we, of course, had to gradually buy and start transforming. Oh, okay.
Like this, and then.
Okay, thank you. And after the first 7 years of mapping it, because no one knew what was there, so it took us a long time to map it and see what we actually had. So we counted 162 rooms in total, 3,000 square meters surface. We redesigned the whole village. And we started working in 1995, and this, you see, it's halfway done. So the front part had been refurbished, and the back part was still waiting. And so this is what it looks now. I can proudly say we have finished reconstructing it after all these years. And my friends at home are working on the last apartment. We were able to create an ecological guest house on the right-hand side and 22 private apartments on the left-hand side where the residents live, and also other members who are only temporary residents. This is a picture of the community with friends. We have 14 resident adults, 4 teenagers who have recently started participating in the general community meetings, and 4 younger children, including 2 from me. And here is another brief excursion in the before, what it looked like when we came. So you see it's very bad conditions. It's like impossible, mission impossible. And that's kind of what we thought. You know, we will start this with the resources we have, with the people we have, and then we will see how far we get. We never really thought we would see it finished in this lifetime. This is from the back. The tallest buildings are 5 stories high, and this poses a challenge in structural terms because many walls were cracked and the foundations were missing or damaged. So most of the work that we had done is not really visible because we had to dig under the village and reinforce the whole structure that was sliding down the valley. So here's in the pioneer days, that's Massimo, for those of you who know him, who's taking a chainsaw to cut down a fig tree that had grown in one of the empty towers. And that's me at the baton machine with Daniel. So everyone did everything. Those were the first years of work. We were sharing shifts and building and shoveling dirt and cooking and doing whatever needed to be done. In 1992, we started having international volunteer work camps, and we have gone on until 2010. So for 18 years, we have had groups of volunteers who came and helped us clean up the rooms from rubble and debris and trash that had been left there, and then rebuild. And then in the more recent years to take care of the trails in the valley and do outside work, like rebuilding stone walls. Here is paving the roads. Other volunteers came in teams. This is a group from Germany that's called the Axe Unkela Guild. These are carpenters who offer their services for free to nonprofit organizations. They're highly trained, highly skilled, and they come in exchange for food and board and do wonderful jobs of very high quality. Like here, they're building a metal-free roof. So it was completely built only with wood pegs. And that's Nina welding and other friends helping paving the main square. Here's Massimo trying to fit in the new into the old. I actually like this photo because as we were retrofitting the village, we had to rethink how do we live today in the modern days? What are the standards of living that are required to have authorizations to run this as a public space, as a guest house? So we had to change the side of the doors, change the side of the windows, for instance, and many other things. And that's another interesting photo of myself pointing. I go like this. So that was the level of soil and debris that was inside one of the rooms. And this is my daughter, the last year, in the same room. And that's the same room, you see? It looks like from the 18th century. Well, it's not actually, but that gives an idea. So the time has gone by. And this is, again, a nice picture of before and after. So we had to deal with a situation like that. And beware, we were not and still are not millionaires. So I'm not talking from the point of view of people who were able to pour in an enormous amount of money. Everything we did very slowly, with a lot of cooperation, volunteer work, rolling up our sleeve, and a lot of trust that it will work. So trust was the main energy that we poured into this Mission Impossible Ecovillage. Again, this is Antonella's house, before, during, and after. A big turning point for us was the first GEN Europe meeting. The first General Assembly of the network, of the European network, was held in Torri Superiore in '98. And you see Declan Kennedy, Ross and Hildur Jackson, Agnieszka Komoch, who was a very active part of GEN Europe for many years and the president of the European network for a long time. So everyone met at Torri and starting relating to each other in person. Before that, there had just been very few internet connection, very little, very few emails, and some phone calls to organize this. And then in 1999, Torri Superiore became the European Secretariat of the GEN Europe network that we were until 2003. And I worked there together with my colleagues, Christina and Casimir. And we received many visits. The Demba Mansele from Senegal visited us. And we organized an exchange with an African village in Guinea, where we went in year 2000 to build a solar dryer. So we also had, as GEN Europe, this Twin Villages program, where European villages would twin up with African villages and help them to get some new projects going. This picture from Johannesburg, I'm so glad Marty Mueller is here in this room because she was there. We signed at the WSSD, the World Summit on Sustainable Development, a very important UN agreement to give a $600,000 grant to the GEN Senegal network. And that was one of the first official recognitions of GEN Africa. And so that was really a very big turning point. And you see Marian Zeitlin was there, Leora Edler, Rob Wheeler. These people are here with us in these days. So it's a big celebration, and I'm really glad I was able to be present then. Another interesting photo, that's the GEN board meeting in Peru in 2003. I was on my way out as a Europe secretary, and I had the chance to re-meet and reconnect with my old friends in Peru at the Llamado del Condor. So to go back to Torri, after the secretariat was handed over to Findern and Zeg in 2003, we really started being serious about turning the place into an ecological guest house. This is the old kitchen. Now, on this stove, we would cook for 60 people, but we thought it can last long. It's just not the way to do it. And now we have this. We have a professional kitchen, all in it's fully licensed restaurant where we prepare lovely meals for our guests. We have dining rooms for 70 people, inside and outside. We have accommodation for 25 people in bedrooms and 3 small apartments. We have a large meeting room where we run courses and seminars and meetings and cinema and whatnot. So on the ecological side, we had a lot of constraints because when you retrofit an old building, there is only so much you can do in terms of ecology. But one thing we really wanted to was to cut down on the heating. And so we transformed the heating system. We created a heating system that uses low temperature, mostly in the walls, by insulation, and then covering it with plaster. We have solar panels on the roofs, both for hot water and electricity. We do farming, mostly olive trees. We have 600 olive trees and 8 veggie gardens. We try and farm everything organically. We do not want to be certified because we do not sell. We only use it for internal consumption, so there is no need for the stamp. But we do farm organically. And all the olives are harvested manually by friends and volunteers. And if you're interested in helping us with the olive harvest, please come. We have a full week called The Olive Tree, My Friend the Olive Tree. It's going to be a very low-cost experience because we want to bring people in and help us with the olive harvest. We will explain the life of and the olive cycle. So you're all welcome to contact us and come in November. Now that's one of our gardens. I know it doesn't really look like a garden. It looks more like a pyramid. But the garden is down at the bottom, and you see it goes up the first 3 steps. And there is a lovely lady who lives in that little house up there, and she's actually the gardener, Tina, from Germany. That's another more reasonably flat garden that's close to the house. Valentina with a good harvest of tomatoes. We do training. This is an image from our farming with donkeys training. We are in contact and work with Bea Briggs of the IFAC, International Institute of Facilitation and Change, and she comes and trains people in Torri, and I've had the honor to co-teach with her in May. And these are some pictures from the May course. And as a hobby, I also teach soap. So that's some shots from the soap class. We do the 72 hours permaculture designer course. Massimo is one of the certified teachers in Italy. And we also do practical training, hands-on farming, organic farming, and those lovely boots and shoes are felt, so handmade felt. And we have a number of courses on different aspects. So last year, we celebrated the 25th year of the association, so we're now on to the 26th. We had a major one-week party with a lot of events, and lots of people came. And as we have finished rebuilding, we now feel that we're moved on to a new phase, and we are now thinking, now what do we do new? And what has come up very strongly is to develop more cultural programs. And we offered a concert in the local church for the population. We have organized transition conferences and initiatives in Ventimiglia. And in the latest issue of the GEN newsletter, I've written an article about this particular experience that's called Orti Insieme, Gardening Together. This group was started by a group of residents of the town of Ventimiglia during a transition evening. Someone came up and said, I would like to farm more. And another person said, I have land available. So these 2 people met, other people joined, and the Orti Insieme Association started, and they now have a food co-op that produces food for 60 families. all on a completely voluntary and free of charge basis. And you see they farm in greenhouses that were in very bad shape, but now they have 3 very large greenhouses farmed organically and about 60 families using them. This was a very beautiful celebration in Orti in Arte, organized by this group, and we participated offering some workshops on mandalas, creating mandalas with seeds. Aquaponics is the new frontier. We are surrounded by abandoned greenhouses. Why is that? Because I live close to the Riviera dei Fiori, the flower riviera, that was the economy of which was based on growing flowers, cut flowers to sell to the market, mostly roses, carnations. But now the flower market has changed completely. The flowers come from Africa. They're flied in onto the European market. And so all the greenhouses have remained abandoned. And they also look very ugly. What to do? It's a resource. So what to do? We're trying to encourage people to turn these empty greenhouses into organically farmed veggie greenhouses and to bring in new concepts like aquaponics. And we're now working on a project with a twin company that is very interested in offering us the space to grow fish, vegetables, and algae. And we'll see where that brings us. Last slide is on human rights. We're right on the borders with France. And recently in June, we lived through a major crisis when France closed the borders for the migrants. And so they started stopping and kind of gathering at the frontier. And we had the situation one day, 500 people were stuck at the train station with no food, no water, not a place to eat or sleep, no clothing. And immediately we formed a committee that's called the No Borders Committee to give them help and support. Two of our cooks were cooking for them and bringing down meals. And of course we demonstrated and we made our voice loudly heard so that the border would be opened again. And now hopefully the situation has been at least temporarily solved. But this is just to say that although we live inland, we're not exactly in the city, we're 12 kilometers, we're still very active in everything that happens around us. So that's it. You can follow us and like us on Facebook. You can see our website, and of course, you're all very welcome to come and visit us. It's not very far from Findorn. It's very far from Brazil. I'm sorry for the Brazilian friends, but I know it's very practical. If anyone is traveling from Italy and going to Spain, they can stop at our place because we're right on the border between Italy and France. Thank you very much.